Before we dive into today's episode, we're celebrating a huge milestone. The Christian Romance Podcast has officially reached 100 episodes, and that's all because of listeners like you. So thank you so much for being here, for tuning in, and for supporting this beautiful community. As a thank you and in the spirit of the holiday season, I'm giving you the audiobook of my novel, Finding Forevermore, completely free, but only until December 5th. So go to kellyjoewilson.com/free audio. That's kellyjoewilson.com/free audio. Don't wait because this offer won't last long. Now on to the episode. Welcome to the Christian Romance Podcast, where we go behind the books with inspiring Christian romance authors, exploring faith, love, and the journey that brings the story to life. I'm your host, Kelly Jo Wilson, and today we're chatting with Mary Connealy. Mary brings her signature blend of humor, heart, and high-stakes adventure as we chat about writing romantic comedies with cowboys. With over 75 books to her name and more than 1.5 million copies in print, Mary shares how faith, fun, and fast-paced storytelling come together in her beloved stories. From zany heroines to strong cowboy heroes, her books are packed with laughter, love, and a whole lot of action. Be sure to stay tuned until the end of the episode so you can hear about how to enter our newest book giveaway. Now, here's my conversation with Mary. Hi, Mary. I am so happy to have you back on the Christian Romance Podcast. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Kelly. I always have a great time. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I appreciate you. I just love chatting with you. You crack me up. You are just so fun. And you write these like wonderful stories with like fun and treasure hunts and drama and romance. I love it so much. I can't wait to hear about this story today. But before we get started on chatting about this series and then talking about your new book, why don't you just share with our listeners a little bit about you and just the stories that you love to write?
Well, I write what I call romantic comedy with cowboys, and I feel like I write it because it's kind of my life. My husband is from a family of 7 sons, and then we had 4 daughters. And there was just a lot of comedy in that. Him just saying, why are they acting like that? They're girls. I don't know. So I spend a lot of my books having men just kind of be befuddled. But I don't want them to be stupid, and I don't want them to be rude or unkind. But there's a line you got to try to draw through that into befuddled. Clueless maybe is a better word. I don't know. So and just, you know, they love the women, but they have a hard time figuring out how to handle them.
Oh my gosh. That's so great. I love it. I love that you put it that way. Like he's just so used to all these brothers. And then all of a sudden he's in a house full of girls.
Yeah.
And he has no idea. It's like a crazy Twilight Zone for him.
Yeah. And his mom, what a great lady. She is just one of my favorite people on the earth. Such a cool woman. She just could roll with anything. I always really admired that. So
I bet. I mean, my goodness, with the 7 boys, she has to be so resilient.
Yeah, she was just a living testimony to don't sweat the small stuff. She just could handle most anything. She's great. So
that's wonderful. That is so funny. Oh my goodness. And you know, it is funny because I feel like most men are just like that anyway. About girls, they're just befuddled.
And our women like that too. I mean,
oh, totally.
Yeah. We don't get them, they don't get us, and we're all just trying to do our best. And a lot of forgiveness required there, and a lot of just acceptance, I guess. So.
Absolutely. I love too to read characters that are just like, wait, what? And like thinking that like from the guy's point of view, especially, and then the girl has a totally different point of view of what's happening. It's hilarious because it just happens so much
Yeah.
in life. I
In
mean,
life.
even just a tone, like a tone of voice can change everything that you're trying to say completely.
Yeah, I always think that's what, like with texts and emails, you don't get any tone in them, and it's kind of tricky. You can sound kind of rude without really meaning to at all. So, yeah. So, anyway,
Yes,
that's what
I agree.
I'm trying to. That's one of the things I try to do in my books is have the exact same conversation, and then they turn away from each other, and they both got exactly a different. Well, that went well. I can't believe he said that. That kind of thing. So.
Yes. Yes, it's super fun. Your stories are super, super fun. Why don't you talk a little bit? So this is book 3 of the series, right?
Yeah.
That we're talking about today. So this is Golden State Treasure series. Do you want to just kind of tell the listeners a little bit about the series in general and just kind of leading up to this specific book, Riches Beyond Measure?
This is book 3, and the book kicks off with the brother coming home from college to finally lift his family out of poverty, to find his mother dead, his father dying, and his 2 little brothers have vanished. And he sets off he stays to bury his father, and he sets off across the country to find his brothers who have stowed away kind of on an orphan train, and then run away with it because they're looking. There's a journal that their grandfather sent them years ago about a treasure. And their father has pretty much ruined their lives searching for this treasure, and now the little brothers are off to ruin their lives. So Brody goes after his brothers, and that's book 1. And then he finds love when he finds his brothers, and he finds just enough of the gold to, like, because he's always just thought the journal was just ridiculous and terrible. There's just enough there that he's like, there really is something out there. So now Brody's on board, and he's married. And book 2 is the woman is married, Josh, and he's kind of taken up the treasure because the woman who they ran away from the orphan train has been sent out to find those boys. We can't just lose children. Go find them. And so she's come to California from New York City, and she makes her way to this ranch and finds love and just a little bit more of the treasure. So in book 3, they're finally gonna get to the end of this map, which has taken them 3 books to get to. So anyway, and the little brothers are still treasure crazy, and they're really, the lesson they're trying to learn here is that, I mean, riches beyond measure. We don't lay up our treasures here on earth. We're trying to do something for the Lord, and it isn't about money. And the boys are like, yeah, we know that. And then they're like, but there's a gold balloon. They've kind of had their hands full with those 2. So this is the last book, and this is another sister of the ranch that these boys are living on. They've got a school for orphans there, and the boys have made their way to this ranch because it's close to the beginning of their treasure map. And in this one, the older sister, who is a widow, and she is starting to like the guy. The treasure had 2 halves. That's one of the things the grandfather did. Like, somebody loaned me money, I promised him half of anything I find. Well, they had spent most of book 2 finding the other half of the map. And now that guy comes in with his half, and we're on the second half of the map in this book, and she's falling in love with him. And he's kind of skeptical too, but his grandfather, who made this deal all those years ago, is obsessed with his half. And Cord is helping look for this treasure to make his grandfather happy, and she throws in with him because now the 2 first ones who were looking for the treasure, they both have pregnant wives, and one of them has terrible morning sickness, and the other one seems to keep threatening to go into labor. So they can't go. It took me a little while to figure out what could possibly keep them from going on this treasure. Of course they want to go. So anyway, so Annie gets to go along on the treasure hunt and goes with Cord. And anyway, and then they got an archaeological professor who's kind of got his own agenda, and he's not respecting that they own the treasure that they keep finding. So anyway, riches beyond measure. So
I love it. I love it. It sounds amazing. You just said so many neat things that I have to break into. Okay.
Okay.
First, so the treasure itself is really neat because the way I remember talking about book one and the way that it comes about is really cool. And you don't realize because each one of these books, now granted, this is a series. So the treasure hunt essentially spans across the series, but each book can be read as a standalone too.
I
It's
hope so. I think they're a
oh
little more
yeah.
fun if you read them all together. But yeah, I think they each have a beginning and an end, and I find enough of the treasure to keep most readers happy. And
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, which is super fun, because it gets you, oh, and granted, and it's always fun. I know me personally, I like reading series that has like a little bit like obviously you want the romance aspect has an ending, right? We want to see a happily ever after.
sure,
Which we have you have in each of these books. But then also, but it's neat whenever there's like a little thing kind of happening in the background that you can see kind of
yeah.
come to fruition, right? And this is like super fun because
Yeah,
it's
and
the
it's
treasure hunt.
tricky because usually what you need is an overarching villain who keeps,
Mm.
evading capture while they settle. But you can't always think of one. So anyway, I really like this treasure hunt. I got a kick out of it. I mean, I've kind of researched lost treasures in the Rocky Mountains, and the fables just go on and on and on, and it's fun. I couldn't tap into one of those in a way that worked for me, so I had to make my own treasure up. And so
I
here
love
we
it.
are.
In your research, did you come across anything that was so like odd to you or like just
Oh,
like a weird kind of thing about any treasures, especially like around this time frame?
well, I mean, I kind of started out with the Lost Dutchman mine. I don't know if you know what that
Mm.
is, but I mean, that's kind of one of the more fabled ones. But the Seven Cities of Gold and the Kingdom of Kuvera and all that. That's big lost gold cities. And but what I found in the research here, I started doing conquistadors. I mean, it's almost like I started out inventing and stuff, and then you kind of look through the history, and it's like it weaves in really, really kind of in a way that I didn't expect. But
Mm.
the conquistadors cruised the shore of California in the 1600s, maybe? I mean, forever in the past, but they never found San Francisco. They're mapping everything, and they found Monterey Bay and they found Los Angeles Bay, but they didn't find San Francisco Bay because it was shrouded in fog. And they
Mm.
didn't know there was a bay there for like another 150 years, and those people found it overland because the fog was so bad. So anyway, so I have someone get lost in the fog and find an inland
Wow.
river, and so this is the treasure that's kind of being left scattered here and there that their grandfather found. So and he tries to send for his family, but then he doesn't get it done. But he does manage to get this rather strange journal. I mean, he's kind of taken cryptic notes, but Grandpa couldn't really read or write hardly at all, so they don't know if he's trying to be sneaky or if he's doing his best. Anyway, they spent a lot of time trying to decipher what's in that journal. So,
I love it. I love it. And I love Brody's brothers, okay, who are so like crazy because that adds a little bit of the chaos, like you said. Like
yeah.
sometimes finding a villain is tough.
Well,
But in this case, the villain is kind of like greed, right? Because they want, well, not maybe not necessarily greed, but like this like drive to get this treasure and they're like making choices and all this and initially Brody has to find them and then it kind of spans across these couple other books and going to this orphan the Two Hearts Ranch, um which is so fun. It's just fun.
yeah. And I have this theory that I personal read from that people don't really change, but they can change how they do things and why they do things.
Mm.
So these kids are bringing all this chaos, and they're a lot like his father. But his father ruined his life, abandoned his family, all this. These kids are kind of trying to do the same, but Brody's like trying to, just guide them into. There's nothing wrong with hunting for treasure, but let's don't forget we're a family. Let's don't forget what's
Mm.
important here. So, but a woman who's bossy and feisty, she becomes a Christian or she falls in love, she's not going to just change into a meek little lady, but maybe her motivation is different and she's bossy and feisty, but for the Lord. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
You
a great
know,
point. Yeah,
well,
because change takes time. It takes time to repeated choices, especially when it comes to like for the Lord. Like you said, somebody who becomes a Christian, somebody who has a certain personality, and then they become now definitely we are new creations.
yeah,
But
but your
your
basic
motivation. Yeah.
personality doesn't really change. I mean, maybe it can, but usually not, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
You're just who you are, but you do it for the Lord, Be who you are.
Yeah.
Be the best you can be for God. So,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because he also equips us, each with spiritual gifts,
yeah,
and a lot of times that fits and is interwoven within our personalities. And I think that once we are a new creation too, like you said, for the Lord, we start to not like sinful things or like those sins that maybe kept us at bay before, but like our core person that we are, yeah, is usually generally similar. I feel like,
and
yeah,
you
I
feel like
agree.
the joy you can get
Mm-hmm.
when you do things for the Lord is different than any happiness that maybe you can find in your non-Christian version of yourself. So, anyway,
Yeah. Totally. Well, these characters definitely are doing a lot of changing and switching motivations and going on these journeys, especially. I really like so Annie in this book, so in Riches Beyond Measure. So Annie's a widow
yeah,
and she's a teacher, correct? So she's a
yeah.
widow. Does she have kids or no?
She
She
has
has.
she has a gosh 5, 6 year old daughter. I can't say now, but she's got a little daughter, Caroline.
Oh, okay.
And Annie's husband dies pretty horribly in
Mm,
book 2 of the Lumber Baron's Daughters series. So she's a brand new widow in that book, and she moves home, and she's been there. And Cord just she's just not had any trouble remaining a widow and devoting herself to her child, and no problem helping with the ranch. He's the first person who makes her feel again, and that's pretty painful
mm.
at first. It's a little shocking to her, and she has some trouble deciding that's a good thing because it's just really she's just wounded, and so her grief is letting her go a little bit, and that's part of her growth too, is that she opens herself up to love again. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's hard, and like you said, people don't change overnight. That's definitely something that's very delicate, and it takes time, right? It takes time to build that trust, and I can't that's such a good way to say it. Like he helps her to feel again.
yeah.
So, oh, yeah, and having the feelings at all in her case because she's just been dealing with that grief, which is just
Mhm.
so, like, shattering, right, to
Yeah,
her whole life, her whole being would be very hard for
yeah.
sure,
And
for
she's
sure.
just been managed to keep so busy helping with these children at the orphanage and helping run the ranch, and she just hasn't missed it. And so, I mean, she's on a ranch full of cowhands. Nobody's ever awakened to that in her before, and
Mm.
so anyway, that's part of her journey. And Cord, which is a small side thing. He is a really talented pianist.
Oh.
I mean, that's just a little thing, but his musical ability is something that has always called to him. And his grandpa, who he's looking for this treasure for, is like, no, you're going to be a banker like me. And so he's kind of had this war too of what feeds his heart, which is his music, and what his grandpa does. Who he loves his grandpa, and he wants him to be happy, and he seems to need this treasure to be happy. And of course, pretty skeptical of whether that's really going to do it for you. But he's trying to help him, and anyway,
Love it. Lots of tension there. Lots of tension, especially because it's so opposite. I feel like to be a musician, an artist in that way, and to love the impact of or love what it does to himself and maybe others,
yeah,
and then to focus on like this, like to an artist, is somebody like him, it would be this like kind of boring thing, like focus on money. Everything's a focus,
yeah,
is money, being a banker, getting things together, making sure you
yeah.
get this treasure.
And
Yeah, that would
that, and
be
that's
a
and that's
big
grandpa.
conflict.
That's not a job. You can play the piano
Yeah.
all you want, but that's not a job. So, and he's like, no, I suppose it's not, but I really love it. So anyway, so
Oh my goodness, I love it. So Cord is pretty persistent, huh, with Annie. So like Cord is wanting to really spend some time with her. She's not she's, not really missing the feeling and things like that. She's taking care of the kids and all that. So what does that look like? You want to obviously no spoilers, but how is he? So he's just
Um,
pursuing her.
well, and he's first of all, what he makes her feel, she just feels like what strikes her is that she's betraying her husband. That she really
Mm,
thought her deceased husband, that she loved him since she was a child, and she just doesn't feel right about letting someone new into her heart. So, you know, he's trying to try to get her to think of him that way, and at the same time they're pretty busy hunting for treasure, and they're never alone because the family's all around them. So it's a little. And when he finally says, "Let's go for a walk," and in
mm.
at the table with the two brothers and her brothers, and everybody's like, "What? You can't go for a walk with her?" And yeah, I don't know. So it's like I need you to walk out of this house and just walk down this lane with me for a few minutes so I can talk to you. So it's a nice little. It's a nice little courtship I've got going, and then circumstances make it so we can't go on this treasure hunt because the one guy, the older brother, can't go because his wife is so sick, and then the other brother can't go because his wife keeps trying to go into labor, and so Annie can't go because you can't just ride off into the mountains with a bunch of men. The two of them are these little boys. Yeah, you can't go. So then Court says, "Let's get married." And of course, she's just like, whoa. And she's like, maybe that was going to happen someday, but not yet. And so they have to work all that out. So,
Oh,
but anyway,
that's intense, man. You're dropping bombs.
it is.
That is so intense.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
And of course, he screws it up. Let's get married so we can go hunt for treasure. And she's like, that's not a reason to get married.
That just fuels what she's thinking, about
Right.
betraying, right? Betraying her
Uh-huh.
husband for this, and then,
And to
I'm just going to
for
get
such
married.
a stupid reason. And he's like, well, anyway, I won't burden you with all the things he has to say to talk her into it. But
Oh, it is no burden, but no, I love the tease because everybody listening right now is like, I have to know what he is saying. I know I have to hear what he is saying and doing and making a mess of things. That's the fun part.
none of my
That's the fun
books
part.
do the people really like date a long time and kind of get to each other's like, hi, you're cute, boom, and then we're married. And then we got to work that out because we might have moved a little too suddenly. So,
Well, I feel like it was like that for that time period, wasn't it? Remind me the time period in this. Is it in the 1800s, late
this
1800s?
is about 1870. The Civil War
Yeah.
is over, and the gold rush is long over. That's 49, and we're in 73 maybe. So, gosh, yeah, right around there. 70. I need to get to 1876 because I got something I want to do in the next book, and I need it to be 1876. But that's not even about this series. That's something else I'm doing. So
I know, but you tie your books in, like you said. So what was the other series that you said where Annie becomes the widow?
yeah, the lumber baron's daughter begins with her racing into the ranch yard, her husband dying, got shot, hurt with 2 bullets in her, trying to protect her child. And that's pretty
Mm,
much how that book starts. And then,
mm.
anyway,
So this story, it has so many tropes in there. Tropes, like fun tropes in the sense of like treasure hunting,
is
he's
that a
courting
trope?
her.
I don't really know what a trope is.
I don't
Forced
know. I don't know.
Is orphan train
I
a
know.
trope? I googled trope trying to figure out what it was. I didn't get a satisfactory answer.
I know. That's why I make them up. I just make them up because all it does, the best part about tropes is because no matter what, somebody could write the same story essentially, but it would be different, right? Because you have your own unique
Absolutely.
style. But what's fun about thinking about like different tropes is that, it kind of gives us an idea of like what to expect, right? So we know that,
Uh-huh.
treasure hunting, this big adventure is pretty cool, right? And then especially with the romance, they are in a forced proximity, right? That should be for romance. But then she also is this widow, and she's
Yeah,
trying to get through that and trying to allow herself to have feelings. That's a big deal. And I feel like somebody out there who might be looking for a book like that, maybe there's a widow or somebody who is going through something like Annie is, who she's like feeling weird about having feelings for someone else, because
yeah,
I can totally see that happening. Like you feel like you're betraying your husband, especially, I mean, he dies tragically
yeah.
and so abruptly, you don't stop loving him, so that's it's an interesting thing to navigate, especially like you say, how they get together real quick, but it is a good thing to navigate. You always have these deep themes, even though you have so much humor. Okay, you always have very deep, honest, realistic characters and what's going on, which is really, really fun because it's very relatable.
And they're pretty realistic, except they're all just a little bit better looking than real people, don't you think?
You crack me up. Well, I saw a reel actually, I think, of your book cover. Remind me, was it the book cover? It's a guy on the front and it's like it's like animated, not
Oh,
animated like,
oh yeah. I got
yes,
that. I think I got that.
it's like
No, I
realistic.
can't.
And he
Yeah,
was very handsome.
somebody I met at ACFW took that cover and animated that for me. She sent it to me, and I didn't know she was going to do it. Kara Granville,
Oh,
and she just got all this AI stuff, and yeah. So
yeah.
the guys, now there's music, and he's striding towards the front of the cover.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty cool.
It's very cool. It's
Yeah,
very cool. Was that for this book?
it is the book that comes out in February. It's
Oh, okay.
called
The future one.
Ambush of the Heart. That's coming
Oh,
next
okay.
series. So
Yes, it was very cool. So you're so funny. They were more handsome. I know. I wonder what they were like back in the day, like treasure hunting. I wonder, probably the smells were a little bit crazy
I don't
because
know. Don't you think though? Don't you think you're used to it? I mean, I'm
I think
sure
people probably got
everybody's.
used to it.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
had one where the guy's like has to take a bath because just something terrible happened to him, like he fell into a coal mine or something. And he says, I always heard baths were bad for you.
No.
A mountain man guy, like, right? And he's like, it had the ring of. He doesn't remember where he heard it, but it had the ring of truth, so he'd always avoided him if he possibly could.
Oh my gosh.
He's the hero.
No.
You love him. He's great.
He's the hero. Oh my goodness. My nurse Jeremy brain right now is like, oh my gosh, how did he not get gangrene on his
I
feet?
don't know, but living out in the mountains like that, were there germs? I
I
had
don't
to have a
know.
guy catch a cold one time, and it wasn't that easy. He had to go around people, and they were snowed in somewhere. I had to do some work to get some people to come in to give him a cold. I didn't really think that through. Where do I get a cold from? They got to go
Where's
to
the
town.
virus?
This is
I know.
Callahan's go to town, but they got to stay a while because I want him to come home and sneeze on him. So he can't just go to town and come home. But why would he stay in town? Oh, takes a lot of thinking.
It does take a lot of thinking, the layers. So listeners, please appreciate the layers of these stories, okay? You
And the
can't
number
just
of
catch
times
a
you're like,
cold.
ooh, that shouldn't have happened. You got to go back and like pull this thread through, like, oh, I can't do that because I had him do that. So I got to have him do something else if I want to do this on the middle of the second book. I got to go back to the first book and have him not have a little sister or something, or have a little sister. Anyway.
It is like that though. It doesn't give you so much appreciation for the Bible. It really does. Like the Bible being so inerrant, complete word of God. How are these multiple people? It really takes God and divine intervention.
Have
I mean,
you
this
ever
is why
seen one of those charts that talks about how the Old Testament and how it hooks it into the New, and how that thread just pulled through over and over and over and fulfilled everything? It's just impossible for it to be anything but divine.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? And so much so even for these books, even for Christian fiction, I feel like there's things that God will pull through that I'm like, I didn't even know I was going there. I didn't even know that was even in there. Does that happen to you too? Like sometimes, especially when
Oh,
readers maybe give you feedback too?
yeah. Well, or I know I have people say something about, oh, that this part made me cry. And I'm like, what part is that? because I'm going to, then they tell me, and I'm like, really? Okay, good for me.
You crack me up. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's because you're co-creating with God. You're
Yeah,
pointing people to Jesus. You have a Christian worldview in these stories.
yeah,
It is. And he can just work everything together. It's amazing.
yeah, it is. It is.
It's amazing. Well, speaking of God, did you have a certain verse? I know that there was kind of a verse through the series, but did you have a specific verse for this book, or was it kind of taking on that same shape as the laying up treasures in heaven verse?
Yeah, and this is riches beyond measure. I feel like this is just the culmination of that, of them trying to, you know, make this treasure not be the treasure they need. I mean, they come to a life and death situation and they realize all the gold is for nothing. You know, they
Mm,
need to have their faith in heaven and have their treasures in heaven, and they just it's a struggle, and when they survive it, they're better people. Isn't that the way we all handle struggle?
absolutely.
Oh yeah, we're
Absolutely.
never petty and nasty, and no, that never happens.
Oh my gosh. We kick and scream and yell and get all crazy. And then God shows us, nope, I can work this together for good. So just
Yeah,
trust me. And then
and
we finally do.
yeah, and that's what would be my theme, just laying up treasures in heaven, and that's when we're searching for treasure here on earth. That's all the harder to remember that, because that becomes the obsession, and most of the adults kind of know it, but those boys, trying to bring those boys up through it and not let it ruin them, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Which is, I mean, it's exactly what we all want to do, right? We want to bring up the next generation, like focus on Jesus, not having that, not worrying about like these things, especially as parents. And, it's so hard. It's so hard. There's so many distractions. There's so many things that just take us away from really trying to
yeah,
focus on him, you
yeah.
know?
And that's maybe where the Christian worldview is key to our own lives. Because
Hmm.
hopefully, in the middle of all the busy stuff we have to do, hopefully that's the underpinnings of it. And that message comes through. You sure hope so.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, this is absolutely lovely. And of course, I just love chatting with you. Mary, do you want to let everyone know where they can best connect with you and get on your newsletter? And then also where it is best to get a copy of this wonderful book, Riches Beyond Measure?
MaryConnealy.com. There's a place there you can sign up for my newsletter. You can also go to Amazon and follow me on Amazon. And what Amazon will do is send you an email if you sign up for it anytime I got a new book. So it's not like I'm going to be flooding your inbox. Just when a book comes out. So I don't do newsletters as cool as other people do. I just like, I got a book. Here it is. I don't know.
Well, that's cool enough for me. That's cool. And I'm sure that the listeners and your readers are like, yes, that's cool. Give me Mary's books. So that's good to know. And I will have a link to your website and your Amazon page also in the show notes. So
Oh,
everybody can
that's
just go
great. Yeah,
right there. It'll be perfect.
MaryConnealy.com. The trick is spelling it. Good luck with that. I'm sure you'll find it somehow.
Yes, they won't have to spell. They can just click. No
There
worries
you
at
go.
all. And thank you so much, Mary. This is, as usual, always such a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and these wonderful stories and these super adventure packed treasure hunting romances. We love it.
Yeah, I'm just always trying to take readers on an adventure with me. That's my goal. So thank
Yes.
you. Thank you for having me on, Kelly.
What a joy to share today's episode with you. I hope it encouraged your heart and inspired your love for stories that reflect God's grace and goodness. If you enjoyed our conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. And because we're so grateful you're part of this community, we love to bless you with lots of books. Enter our latest giveaway by visiting ChristianRomancePodcast.com. That's ChristianRomancePodcast.com. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time, keep your faith, share the love, and happy reading.